Hi everyone, I am at the local library. I have been typing away on my latest work in progress, and I wanted to take a little break and tell you about a couple of children's books that I have recently discovered. So the first one that I want to tell you about is called Pete and His Gigantic Feet, and it's written by Carrie Talbot and illustrated by James W. Elston. And it's a really interesting, cute little book with some fun animations. It has a main character named Pete, obviously, and guess what? He has gigantic feet. So the story, actually, you would think that it would start with maybe a set of school children or something, but no, surprisingly, it begins in a forest. This is actually the first page. And it begins with, one day in the woods up north, a sound came through the trees. It woke up every animal and startled all the bees. 3:03, right on time, the daily visit came, but louder and a little sad. It wasn't quite the same. They hurried from their houses, from the holes and from the air, to see the precious boy they loved with rumpled yellow hair. There he stood with tears and dirt. His clothes were all a mess. What on earth had happened here? They couldn't even guess. And so it goes on with more and more animals, not just forest animals, but all kinds of animals. As you can see, there's a lion. And they all come over to the boy and they say, what happened? And they take a guess. Did this happen? Did that happen? And he says, no, that's not the problem. And then he goes on to tell us, let's see. I'm in a sour mood. The boys and girls at school today were mean and super rude. Everybody laughed at me and said, watch out for Pete, because I wore my brand new sandals and they saw my giant feet. Even with my barefoot feet, I won the half-mile run. I won't go back to school though, because teasing isn't fun. And then the animals go on. You would think that maybe they would tell him, oh, your feet are fine, they're not that big, they're really useful, but they're a little more clever than that. They go on to tell him about how the kangaroo has big feet, and the raccoon has a special mask, and the beaver has special teeth, and the snail may be slow, but he always finds his way home because of his slimy trail. And so in pointing out all of their uniqueness and their differences, they help him to see that, yeah, maybe his feet are a little bit bigger than his friends, maybe, but they're very useful and he should be proud of them. It's part of what makes him special. And so, on the end we see, the next day Pete went back to school. Let's see if I got you. There we go. The next day Pete went back to school and ran around the track. The kids were all astonished at how fast he made it back. The boys all circled round and asked, what's your secret, Pete? I do not have a secret. I just have gigantic feet. And so you can see now he's proud of his feet. And I really liked the encouraging tone of this book, how kids are not told, you're not that different, but they're told, yeah, you're different and be proud of it. Your being different is how God designed you. And that's a good thing. And so that brings me to our next book. It's called The Newest Flower, and it has a very similar theme. This book was given to me by our adoption agency, actually. Wasn't expecting it, just showed up in the mail one day from them. And it took me a little while to find the time to read it, but I finally read it, and it's actually quite a fun read, especially with my kids. It was written by an adoptive, or a child who was adopted, and who, she says, in the acknowledgments it says, my dream of helping orphans like I once was has finally come true. I am so thankful for the cheerleaders in my life. And then she goes on to name the people who encouraged and supported her. I'm sorry about the wobbly camera. This is what happens when I try to be spontaneous. But here's the first page. It says, once upon a time, deep in the forest, there was a beautiful exotic flower garden. Inside this oasis of fragrant flowers, there lived two flowers named Rosie and Daisy. They were friends who loved playing together. Each day they would play their favorite game of Tag the Flower. And it goes on to say that they have fair weather friends, which include the sun, the clouds, and the rain. And that those fair weather friends help them to grow tall and healthy and keep their dazzling colors. And then, dum, 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 there's always the twist, right? And then one day they notice this little green sprout coming up in the ground, and Rosie's like, I don't know about this. She looks different. We have 2 leaves and they make hearts. This thing only has 1 leaf. I think we need to get rid of it. And Daisy says, no, no, no. Let's wait until it sprouts. Maybe they'll be like us. Maybe they'll be fun. And so they wait, but Rosie worries. And let's see. Trying to find the page. Okay, here we go. Then the new flower sprouts. And isn't she adorable? I just love that flower. It says a couple of days later, the new Calliandra flower erupted out of the sun, stretching out her newly grown stem and a single leaf. She was indeed a lovely powder puff pink flower with the nickname of Callie. And so then we see that Callie wants to play with Rosie and Daisy, of course. And Daisy's like, yeah, come on and play with us. But Rosie's like, And Rosie's kind of harsh. She goes, no, Daisy, Callie cannot play with us. She does not belong here. She must be from another garden. Besides, she looks funny with only 1 leaf. It doesn't even look like a heart. Yeah, kids can be harsh like that, right? So, how does Daisy respond? Well, we don't see, but we see that Callie gets discouraged and walks off and feels sad for herself a little bit. And she's trying to figure out, why don't they like me? Why don't they want to play with me? And then the fair weather friends come and hang out with her for a little bit. And Callie thinks to herself out loud. She says, I just don't understand why Rosie does not like me. We are all flowers. Each of us has a set of roots, a stem, a leaf or 2, and flower petals. Who cares if one of us is a rose, a daisy, or another type of flower? And the fair weather friends, they don't really answer because they don't talk in this story, but they kind of glide over to Daisy and Rosie, and Callie takes that as her cue to give them another chance. Says that all flowers make mistakes from time to time. And so she goes over there, and Daisy and Rosie see that the fair weather friends are basically shining down and surrounding Callie, and so they decide to listen to what she has to say. And she says, I know that some of us are from this garden while others were seated in a distant land. I know that each of us have qualities that make us unique and beautiful. Rosie, you and I have the eyes that are the same. And Daisy, we are both flowers who have crazy petals like the sun's rays. I also admire your leaves and how they look like hearts, but I have a real heart too. How could I live if I didn't have one? Why can't we just accept each other for who we were created to be? And then the last line, there's a little bit more, but then in the last line it says, quickly Rosie realized that Callie was right. Flowers do come in different colors, shapes, and varieties. After all, this was the gardener's original plan. And let's see. They decided not to waste any more fun, and they started playing their favorite game, and Rosie realized that Daisy was fun to play with. And so, once again, that is the newest flower, and it's written by, I'm going to totally mess up this name, but I think it's Julie's Y. Paget, and illustrated by Remco Killars. I'm not sure if you can, hopefully you can read that. But, so those are the 2 books I wanted to share with you today. They are both available on Amazon, so if those sound like things that you might want to give to your kids or read to your kids, I know that the Christmas season is like, we're in the thick of it. We're only a couple more days. I think it's like 4 days till Christmas. So hop online and grab those books if you want them for Christmas. I think you might have just enough time to get them mailed to you. But either way, they make for great birthday gifts or whatever. I don't get any money out of this. I don't, I have fleetingly met the author Carrie Talbot at the conference I went to last year. But like, we're not besties or anything. I have no incentive to be telling you anything about why you should buy these or whatever. I just really think they have great messages, and I'm all about giving great books with good messages to kids. So that's why I wanted to share it with you today. Oh, but speaking of great kids, I am wearing a very special shirt today. I don't know if you can see, not the most flattering of angles, but my shirt says Crazy Love, and there's a little globe here featuring the China continent, and that's because I bought it as part of a fundraising effort my friends were having to get them across the seas to their son in China. He's been home for a couple of years now, and his name is Eli, and he has a condition known as epidermolysis bullosa, EB for short. Some people know it as the butterfly condition. It's a skin condition, and I'm going to read the explanation to you real quick so that I don't mess it up. Don't mess it up. Epidermolysis bullosa is a group of genetic conditions that cause the skin to be very fragile and to blister easily. Blisters and skin erosions form in response to minor injury or friction, such as rubbing or scratching. Dystrophic epidermolysis bullosa is one of the major forms of epidermolysis bullosa. Now, I don't know if that's the form that he has. I'm not entirely sure which form he has. I know there's a few different forms, but what I do know is that for him, it means that things like, putting on a harness to go rock climbing at a party, or putting on skates to go skating with his friends, these kinds of things are not an option for him. It causes too much friction, and frictions lead to blisters, which lead to wounds, which lead to infections. And I know that it also means he has to spend about 2 hours of every single day of his life having his wounds treated. And what that usually looks like for him is getting into the bath and having the bandages soaked off, and then they have to take care of the blisters and the wounds, and then they have to bandage him all back up again. And it's been quite a learning journey for his parents, but when I think about this kid, I am just so amazed, because you would think with a condition like that and being constantly in pain that they would just maybe be cranky or miserable, and I'm telling you, this is one of the happiest kids I have ever known. He's always smiling and giggling and ready to play. Not to say that he doesn't have his moments. He's a kid like any other kid. I'm sure his mother could tell you about those moments. But it's just impressive to me how incredibly cheerful he is considering his condition. But he is also one of my kids' favorite playmates. And right now he is in the hospital. He's had a surgery and he will be there for the next few days. And it's getting close to Christmas. Like I said, it's the 21st, so we only have about 4 days left. You know, if you count Christmas, 3 before then. But anyway, my point is he's in the hospital and he could really use some encouragement. If you wouldn't mind stopping by his Instagram account, it's called Come Say Hi to Eli. If you would drop by that account and just say hi and wish him Merry Christmas, I would really appreciate it. And Merry Christmas to all of you. Bye.